Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening again. We're here.
It's us.
How was your week?
Good. How about yours?
It was good. We're learning, so that's good.
Great conversation this week.
Yeah. And I think we got on before and just kind of caught up. And our first episode, whatever you want to call it, has over 1,200 listens. So I'm good with going on.
Right. Let's keep it going.
Yep. And I know personally, I've received texts and notes from friends that I haven't heard from in a while that say thank you for just having the conversation. So I think it's pretty awesome that you keep showing up with me.
Same here. I received a LinkedIn request from someone that I didn't know. And so I'm building new connections and people who are grateful for these conversations. So thank you for listening, and just hope to share. Yeah, keep doing it.
So we have a commercial that I saw and I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to play it right now.
Who said that?
The lady at the store.
That is not a compliment.
Listen, it's an ugly, nasty word, and you are going to hear it. Nothing I can do about that. But you are not going to let that word hurt you. You hear me?
There are some people who think you don't deserve the same privileges just because of what you look like. It's not fair. It's not. Remember, you can do anything they can. Difference is you gotta work twice as hard and be twice as smart. Come straight home after practice. You got your ID? I guess I stopped you.
How's your review?
We're good.
You good?
Yeah,
You see?
we're good.
Okay. Good. Now, when you get pulled over,
I'm a good driver.
okay,
Don't worry.
this is not about you getting a ticket. This is about you not coming home.
I'm gonna be okay. Right? Okay. It's not fair. But you keep showing up.
You are not pretty for a black girl. You are beautiful, period. Okay? Don't ever forget that.
I almost got through without crying.
You're going to make me cry.
So I saw that a couple times this past week, and
My son is gone, and I want to know how long I gotta wait.
Stop the rest. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
Not so bad, dude.
Let me get back. Hold on. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there's your little technical information tip for the day.
Make sure you stop the video.
When we left last week, we talked about that we were going to talk about the N word.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that a couple times this week, and it was interesting to see my reaction and then your reaction.
Right. So for me, those are all stories that are so familiar. I've either had that conversation with my own daughter, or I have been told that by my own mother. And so, being part and experienced it, even being part of like corporations and stuff like that, I always felt like I had to work harder. I had to be better. I was always different. And so, and those differences always, they showed up. And so, the commercial was very familiar.
It was because I get teared up and think like of humanity, and like, it's not about the color of your skin. It's being a nice human. That's really what it comes down to in my mind. And it's like, but this is actually happening, and these conversations have to happen with your kids. And my kids, I'm like, I never would think about like, make sure you have your ID. What if you get pulled over? Like, be careful.
Right.
And it's just,
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, one of the commitments that her father and I made was that if we had a boy, he would not have a gun in fear that one day he might get shot for playing with a play gun. And if we had a little girl, that she would never have a white doll. And the reason why is because I took a sociology class, and they showed that experiment when they gave the little black kids a white doll versus a black doll, and they would always say that the white doll is prettier. And so I remember having to tell my daughter that her little afro is fine. Like that's who she is, but she wanted straight hair because everyone always wanted to touch her hair or wanted to know why it looked like that, why was it so curly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even so raising children in this society and having to share with them that we're in Arizona, so we're
Right.
about 4% of the population.
Yeah.
And so, it's okay to be different, dare to be different, and not conform. So,
Right.
yeah, and our family were,
there's a couple books that I've seen that are like, Don't Touch My Hair.
oh
and
my,
there's Phoebe, I think her last name, I think it's Robinson, maybe. Girl, Don't Touch My Hair.
Uh-huh.
And that's an interesting thing because I grew up dancing in Saginaw, Michigan, and it was probably half white, half black in all my classes.
Uh-huh.
And I am intrigued by black hair. Is very different than white hair. It's just like your daughter wanted straight hair.
Uh-huh.
I love a good afro or like, curly, gorgeous hair. And it's interesting when she talks about don't touch it though.
Yes.
Like, oh.
Is that the TED Talk?
I'm trying to look her up now.
I posted a TED Talk recently, probably within the last year, because people would just walk up to me, especially as my hair started growing back after the chemo. But
okay, wait. Did we ever talk about that fact? I don't know that everyone knows about. You should tell our listeners.
That I went through cancer. I went through about a cancer in 2018. So I went from looking like a Wakanda warrior to now growing back my hair.
And I think I met you maybe right after that. So I don't know that you.
I think you might have met. I think we met before because I'm pretty sure that I've been part of the WeBet community for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, maybe you met me right during.
I think it was like right after because you had really short hair, but it wasn't complete.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So FYI is You Can't Touch My Hair by Phoebe Robinson is the one. I've heard her on a couple podcasts. Sorry, I just had to.
No. But I had to post Don't Touch My Hair. I had to post a TED Talk, and this is why you don't touch my hair. Because so many people would walk up to me. I was at a 70s party and I had afro out, and this lady just comes up to me and she just grabs my hair. And I'm like, that's assault.
And it's so funny because I never would think about that as assault. Like the intent was like, I think it's beautiful. And like, it would never be to be with an ill intention, but I can see.
Don't pet me. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so funny how like you see the difference because it's like, I just never would think about that.
Yeah. So those are some of the things. And you know what's interesting, we'll have to share the link to the TED Talk. But it talks about the history of just kind of Black Americans and how white people, we weren't able to say, don't touch my hair. And so they touch our hair and, and so anyway, I'll share that in the link below, just a matter of history. And
I want to watch that for sure. Oh, all the things.
Yeah. So we talk about family, right?
Yep.
So just kind of, I shared a little bit about my history and some of the challenges that I had in school. What were some of your experiences?
So I've had more conversations over the last couple of weeks because I grew up, high school I think was my, most formative for everybody. But in Saginaw, we had there was Asians and there was Blacks and there was whites. It wasn't like, I didn't personally experience like any tension with any of that. It was just what it was and I liked it. When we came out to Phoenix, I noticed there's a very small population of Black people. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. But I was talking through just different family members throughout the last couple of weeks about like generationally how we've come through, and like the N word, what was it used for, and like why? Because when I hear it, I cringe. I don't like it. I've never used it. I know my mom in that generation, I would say, is the same way. Generations past that, I don't know. But she was explaining at one point that there was a like a classification, if you will, between, I don't even want to say it, N-word and a Black person. And an N-word is something that African American person is making bad choices and not doing the right thing, and they're dangerous. And a Black person would be someone that was, I don't know what you even call it, normal, like a good citizen.
Right.
I don't know.
Wow.
But that was a common classification that people had, and it's like, wow, like I just never would have thought of that either, because I didn't really hear about that in my generation from my parents ever.
Right. You know, and as you say that, Karie, it's interesting because even as I grew up, it was like, oh, you're not like the rest of them. The rest of who? You know? So, you know, people tend to figure out ways to classify, and, you know, even in your situation, right, where Black versus the N-word, you know, there's a distinguishing factor. And like for us, many times that notion is we're all bad. You know, we grow up and we have to figure out how to navigate this society where most of the time, or some of the time, we're not accepted. Or going back to the Procter and Gamble commercial, we have to be better. We have to present ourselves a certain way in order to be accepted, when ultimately all we really just want to be is us.
Right.
You know, and, you know, hey, I say often, you know, especially when we talk about race, my Blackness meet a lot of people at the door, and it's offensive just because of the mere fact that I'm Black. And so, you know, but once people get to know me, I mean, I'm human just like you. You know, and I want the same thing. I want to be loved. You know, I want to be understood. And so how do we begin to break down even the biases in our own mind to see the person and to begin to understand them?
Right. Yeah.
Now, I know we didn't talk about this, but what do you say, perhaps even to some family members or friends that might struggle with someone's Blackness when they walk into the room? Like, how do you even help a friend that is struggling?
Yeah. And that's just it. Like, I can honestly say the people I surround myself with are not people I mean, I know when I see you, your skin is Black, my skin is white, but it's not like I classify you because of that, you know? And so I can't say that I have like friends that struggle with that. I would say, you know, is the N-word still used within my family? Yes. And I know that is. Whether they see that the way that I see it or not is just like with anything in my life, not even with a race talk or anything. It is not my place to judge you. I have a higher power that I believe in, and I know he's got it covered, and I don't have to. I just have to come from a good intention and with love, and that's it. Like, he's got it covered. So I don't know if I came across somebody that came, you know, to me and said they were struggling. I would probably reach out to people that I know that I could ask the questions of, because I wouldn't know how to, you know, I just don't see it.
Yeah. And I think it's, you know, we have to be, we're at this space now, right, where people are getting terminated because of some of the things that they're saying. Businesses are closing and different things like that. And so we're at this point where it's almost like the world is attempting to autocorrect. And so, you know, if you're occupying a space where, you know, your family might be using words that are maybe they're not the best descriptors to describe people, even if it, you know, I mean, we talk about the N-words, but there's so many other words that we use to categorize different minorities for
Right.
different people in general. And so I think that it's our duty to begin to gently correct the people that are in our circle
Mhm.
and challenge them in a sense, even when it becomes uncomfortable. We
Mhm.
have to challenge the status quo, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward.
Right.
And so, no, not in a place of judgment, but
Right.
just, in a place of, we laugh, every week and we say love and light,
Mhm.
but really in a space of love and light, because we have to be willing to say that's not acceptable.
Not the word you want to use. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
any any final thoughts you think before we?
I just hate that word. That
Yeah.
the N word, which was the topic. I do have a question.
Mhm.
Like overall, do you think these conversations are happening? You and I are having this conversation,
Mhm.
and like you were talking about putting the TED Talk out a year ago before this really elevated.
Mhm.
Um, do you see goodness? Like, do you see things happening? And obviously, our conversation's happening, but is it better? Is it the same? Like when I look at the 50s and I look at now, I think it's different and in my mind better. I'm learning a lot about things that I had no idea, conversations that had to take place, like the talk with
Mhm.
your child, if you because of the color of your skin, like that blows my mind. But
Mhm.
there are things that I've seen that have happened that have improved situations. Oh, so much further to go. I don't doubt that. But like, has there been improvement or is it?
You said it's different. It is different. I think it's different in the sense that it's not as blatant. And I was having a conversation with another lady, and she was saying to me that as Black people, we're taught to assimilate and to comfort. So when people feel uncomfortable, we're taught that it's our job to make them comfortable with who we are. And so I think where things might not be as blatant, I think that we still struggle with finding our voice, and we still struggle with being accepted for who we are. Um, and then sometimes I even shared last week or so like that, but finding ourselves voiceless because people don't want to hear us. I think that this season that we're currently in, we do see more organizations that are really standing up and that are really speaking out about it. And where in this moment, it's great to hear everyone speaking out. It's great to see the videos that are talking about it. But I don't want to see it die down.
Right.
I don't want us to fall back into this space of complacency and thinking. I was having a conversation, I can't remember who, but they said to me, or they were saying that someone said to them, oh, well, it seems like it's better now.
Yeah, that's what I like. A couple people were like, well, isn't it better? Like, haven't they? And I'm like, I can't say that I've ever asked Angela that. Like, when you look at that, it's different. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's still here. They still have to have these conversations with their kids to make sure that they're safe because they have to think about this.
Yeah.
Do
And
you I don't.
even like with the heightened sense of everything that's going on, you still turn on the news and you still see Black people dying at the hands of cops, or so it's still kind of like, is it? No, I don't believe it is.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do, and this notion that just because it's quieted down
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it's over. And so what I would share is that we have to continue to be intentional
Mhm.
about the direction that we move in. And I know that we're not talking about economy or anything like that, but Nick Hanauer has said, the ecosystem should be a garden and not a jungle, right? And when I think about society, it should be a garden too. We have to cultivate what we want to see,
Mhm.
and it starts in our homes, then it flows out into our community, and then our states, and then so on. And so we have to hold everybody accountable for how we treat each other, because
Right.
that's how we're going to be able to move the needle forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had talked about doing this 3 times, and this is our 3rd
Mhm.
time. So it's like, we're just going to keep going because,
Yeah.
you've heard from people and I've heard from people. And if there's any questions, I'm okay with putting it out there. And
Yeah.
it is not comfortable sometimes.
No, and yeah, so if you have questions, drop us an email or drop it in the inbox, IM us, whatever you need to do, and just let us know and we can address it. Now, I will say, hey, I don't speak for all Blacks.
Mhm.
I don't
Me either, for all
I don't
whites.
purport, yeah, I'm like, I
I
don't
don't speak
purport to
for
know
Blacks
all.
either.
But I'll do my best to answer whatever questions and talk about whatever we need to talk through
Right.
to make a difference and to make
And the
it.
intent is from a place of love and light. So it's like, we should be able to talk about it and, get to the bottom of it. So,
So
have
quote.
quote time. I love it.
So, so the quote for today is, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together." And that's Desmond Tutu. So great way to end.
Love it. All right. We'll be back next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.